Mike, fresh off the start of the new year, really in the aftermath of ISC West, the industry is buzzing with a lot of the latest gadgets and solutions. So what better person to provide some insights into our BVMS, our video analytics, our cloud offering, than our North American specialist in MKR, Mike Brewer.
Thanks. No, I'm happy to be here with you today and talk a little bit about kind of what we've got going on and some of the things that we're seeing out there. Yeah, you mentioned I'm the MKR marketing manager for North America. BVMS is where I spend a lot of my time, over 50% on a day-to-day, I would say. But I'm also responsible for supporting technologies, all of our storage solutions with DVARs, NetApps, other peripherals such as our decoders and our legacy products like our encoders. But also a large portion of my time recently is cloud, right? We spent quite a bit of time, had 2 stations at ISC, one devoted entirely to cloud services. So I'm responsible not only for remote portal, but also for the attached cloud services, VideoView Plus, remote system management, etc. But we wanted to talk more about BVMS in particular, right? What are you seeing in your territory with BVMS? We've talked about a couple of systems that have been successful installs for you, solving some problems out there. Tell me a little bit what you've got going on in New England.
Yeah, it's a great question. So we're working very closely with our partners, our team of engineers, and some additional resources to be able to really build and design end-to-end BVMS solutions for our customers. So depending on the application or the project, we do have the ability to integrate our video as well as our access control, our intrusion, and our comms portfolio, really all under one hood, one pane of glass,
right,
for the end customer.
So any particular challenges that you're running into for customers, not necessarily with the technology, but operational challenges, day-to-day issues that customers are looking to solve?
Some of the most common pain points or challenges that we see out there in the field interacting with our customers would be the ability to have to search through hundreds of hours of video just to be able to get back to an incident that may have happened, whether it be last week or even 30 days ago. So yeah, scrubbing through the video can definitely be cumbersome. So what we do is we have the ability to alleviate some of those headaches with our forensic search technology, which allows you to hone in on an incident much more efficiently than having to sit there and go through 2-3 hours of video, in some cases more. Another challenge we see, some of the systems out there really limit scalability based on their architecture, whereas with BVMS, that's not really the case. We have deployments out there that are, small 10-camera deployments, all the way up to large campus size, robust solution.
Right,
So,
multiple sites coming into a single environment, right, top down.
Yep. And then really one of the other most common pain points we see being the operators dealing with alarm fatigue. You're sitting there, you're watching 25 simultaneous views. I mean, you're going to miss incidents. So one way we're able to really navigate around that is through our edge intelligence. So we leverage our intelligence and our analytics to be able to send accurate alarms to our operator so that they're reviewing incidents that matter most to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Filtering out a lot of that noise is important, right? Making sure that their attention is drawn to something they can actually act on, that it's not a recurring false alarm or, some kind of repetitive issue that they keep seeing come up in the system.
Yeah, I think it just gives you much more situational awareness as well. So Mike, how are you addressing partners' concerns? How are you taking some of their everyday feedback on our solution and really trying to drive some of those changes into our platform?
You've been witness to a number of meetings, right, that we've had with customers that they're more than happy to give us feedback on their day-to-day experience with the solution and maybe things they'd like to see or things that they may see differently than we do in a development environment, right? Those everyday challenges that they need to switch to a different way of response or maybe have the software prompt them in a different way. We're always happy to receive that kind of feedback. So usually directly customer to customer is how I get it, whether I'm on the show floor at ISC or we have sit-down meetings every other month or so with select customers, depending on their usage needs, taking that feedback up and then considering it for implementation into the software. I mean, part of that is identifying potential challenges you may have and how far back you might need to support it. What version is the customer on? BVMS is a very mature software. We're coming out with version 13 here pretty soon. So a lot of versions to consider and where a customer is at and what we can implement in those older technologies. But more often than not, we're looking forward, right? We're looking to the next version and what enhancements can we add.
I've got a tiny curveball question for you. So how would you describe BVMS in 3 emojis?
The first one has to be the nerdy glasses one. Super customizable solution, right? You can really get down into the weeds and do some deep configurations and integrations that allow you to do things that other solutions out on the market aren't even close to. So the first one has to be the nerdy glasses. I have 2 others. The second one is going to be the mind blown emoji, right? I think once you get into that depth of configuration, it's pretty mind blowing to a user to understand that there are all these capabilities, meaning there are all these different fields I can apply, different if then so, logic to, etc. I can have a depth of user permissions that some people have access to this, other people don't have access to these things. Highly, highly customizable, and with that comes kind of like that peeling back and realizing just how much customizability is in the software, which leads me to my third selection for my emoji, which is the love one, which is we love people that pursue training in BVMS. It ensures that not only their first system is successful, but ongoing into the future, other systems that they're rolling out are also going to be void of any kind of technical challenges, et cetera. And then in the future, they're prepared to address those hiccups as they may come as version increases come across, or they're deploying upgrades to their DVAR hardware, all that. So we love everybody who pursues training with BVMS.
So if for a second you can give me a quick look under the hood, what core feature would you like to fast track today if you had the ability to for BVMS?
That one is difficult to answer, but it's definitely cloud capabilities with BVMS. It's something that I think the industry in general is screaming for, right? There is these traditional on-prem systems, and everybody's moving to, not everybody maybe, but many customers are moving to WAN accessibility for those systems, right? So naturally, the next step is, how can I separate my storage from my traditional on-prem system, or how can I virtualize these technologies? And now we have the cloud to consider. Like, I can have access to cloud servers remotely and have them be part of these solutions. So it's something that we're looking at actively with BVMS to determine how to take those customers that are our traditional on-prem, I'm never going to touch the internet customers that maybe 5 years ago, they were still touting that. And now today they're approaching us and they're kind of like, hey, what are you guys doing on the cloud side for BVMS? So that's something I wish we could move much more fast with. We need to be very careful and consider different needs out in the industry for our customers, right? Perhaps where our cloud services are housed currently aren't the right fit for some customers, and our federal customers, who are one of our largest adoptees of BVMS, we need to consider FedRAMP certification for those cloud services. So if I could fast track it, I would, but there's a lot we need to think of and make sure that we have the right approach to the market and the right solution for those customers. All right, so I actually had a question for you. Sure. With the latest version of BVMS, we put a ton of focus into enhancements to support IVA Pro. I want to hear how you're leveraging IVA Pro in your territory, and what are the popular IVA features that customers are looking for, and I guess more importantly from my side, implementing into their systems.
So back to one of my previous points, when it comes to the end user's experience with our software, it really comes down to efficiency, accuracy, and velocity, right? Really, three analytic features that have really stood out to me would be our IVA Pro appearance. So to be able to forensically search for a person of interest across multiple cameras based on a set criteria that you input is very powerful and allows you to really hone in on an incident much quicker than historically, where it has taken quite a bit of time. The second advanced analytic that we've run into a lot would be our gun detection system. As you know, Bosch is the first manufacturer to launch a layered edge-based gun detection system. So, being able to leverage these alarms and alerts to really help us prevent a mass casualty event, I would say is paramount when we talk about alarms and notifications. And lastly, the IVA Pro Perimeter. Our ability to detect intruders that may be rolling or crawling on the ground up to a fence line. It's crucial that we understand the threat as it approaches a facility.
It's good to know that BVMS as our software solution, right, is kind of the first stop for all of those integrations for IVA Pro, right? Further enhancements to still come, verification of alarms, et cetera. Still working on implementing some of that stuff into the software. But all of those features that you mentioned all have a home within the software that we provide. So let's take Pro Perimeter, for example, right? I would imagine that a financial customer and a federal customer are going to have very different uses for Pro Perimeter. What are you seeing in your territory? What type of customer is adopting Pro Perimeter?
At least in my region, we're seeing a lot of adoption with our IVA Pro Perimeter when it comes to the energy and utility space. Really being able to safeguard some of those perimeters and entrances and choke points into facilities and in their campus.
Particularly useful for any kind of remote areas, right, where there's not any guard presence or any on-site personnel.
Yeah, Mike, these examples are definitely important, but let's not lose track of the fact that there's a surplus of other IVA Pro intelligent analytics out there that fit, a number of different applications depending on customer need. Whether that's detecting a make and model of a license plate at a school, or safeguarding the perimeter of an airport or a utility space.
I can imagine that every different type of application is going to bring different challenges and may utilize those technologies in totally different ways.
Hypothetically, let's pretend I am completely green to BVMS. What are some different resources that are available to really help that individual build confidence when using the system?
We've got quite a few different options, I guess. Starting from ground up, I would certainly recommend signing up for the Online Academy. Those are free modules that you can start working towards your certification in BVMS. Ultimately, you'll end up in online or in-person courses that'll certify you at an expert or a master level for that technology, make you much more comfortable with your installs, et cetera, moving forward. We also have pre-design assistance from your level, right, SDM, or to our application design when you are actually looking at the project in the territory and kind of uncovering piece by piece. We're there to help put those systems together, the licensing that's a requirement, look at SMAs, et cetera, and be guidance there. So the customer doesn't need to necessarily be an expert at a CTN level for the product, right? They have somebody to kind of lean on. We also have professional services that's available through our level 2 support team. I'd highly recommend that for any kind of larger or distributed systems. They're going to look at all angles. They're going to look at bandwidth over multiple management servers or VRM servers and large pools of storage, or distributed systems that are a network of, a BVMS enterprise level and then 20 plus subsystems out there. They're going to make sure that everything is set up, that you're going to have the appropriate bandwidth on the network, and that those solutions are going to operate the way they're intended to once you flip the switch and turn everything on. Past that, we've got a number of self-serve tools, pre-designed tools like Project Assistant app, or the new system design tool that we just launched. Highly effective. Once you're certified for your BVMS at the expert or master level, you become more comfortable in system building. Those tools are available to you to start putting together your own solutions when maybe you're a little less reliant on our side to provide part numbers and guidance there. So that's absolutely available too. And I think finally, walking away from a project, and when you move on, there's post-sale support. There's not only the regional sales manager you can always reach out to if you need to, or the sales engineer that's in territory, but we have the technical support team that's there to help you out. As long as your technician is trained with BVMS, the system is covered with a maintenance agreement. You can reach out to technical support at any time, receive assistance in your upgrades, your migrations, or any kind of challenges you may be having with those solutions.
BVMS is a very customizable solution, really available in lots of different sizes, depending on customer needs, size of the project. But I think the important takeaway, it sounds like there's ample resources that you can leverage at Bosch to really, help you maximize, your design and implementation of some of these BVMS systems.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it's, your first system or your 20th, we're here to help you out. And I promise you there's resources available to make sure that you're successful and provide solutions to your end user who's got any number of challenges in their day-to-day use case. Yeah, we've got 13.0 coming out here in just a couple of weeks. 13.1 is slated for later this fall, so maybe when that's coming up, we'll sit down and talk about some of the enhancements there. But again, thanks for the time, and it's been great talking to you today.
Mike, I really appreciate your time and all the helpful insights related to BVMS. 6 months from now, I'm sure there's going to be even more fun changes that get implemented into the system, and I really look forward to being able to sit down and really cover some of those key points with you.
I appreciate you making time for me.